All right, so I would like to clean this up. So let's quickly talk about Boolean. So like I said, Boolean is all about true or false. If you are interested in knowing if the answer to your question is true or false, see, a Boolean is when you need to store a data that is true or false. Maybe it's either this or that, no other option, just true or false. For example, are you a US citizen? Were you born in the US? It is either true or false, there's no other option. So are you above 18? Question like that. The case where you want to store such data, so you should implement Boolean. So now you can implement the Boolean, all you need to do is say BOOL. So just bool, just a short form. Then the variable name, for example, is US citizen. You can say is US citizen, right? So we are going to look at variables very soon. Then you'll be able to understand all of this. So is US citizen, then you say equal to, more like you want to assign a value. So it can be true or false. And you can, of course, print this out, right? So you can say you want to print is US citizen. So, and it's going to print it out, So let me save and I will compile. So let me get this. You can see it is telling me true. So now let me try to give it false. And of course, it's going to tell me false. So I will save and I will compile. So I will save and I will compile. You see. So also, instead of giving it true or false, we can also give it 0 or 1. So when we give it 0, it is equivalent to saying false. When we give a value that we have that the data type is Boolean 0, it means false. And when we give it value other than 0, maybe 1, 2, it means true. So let's see that in action. I'll save and compile. So this is going to give us false. So let's see, you can see it is giving us false. Then let's go back and give it maybe value of 1. It is going to give us true, right? So you can see true. Then let's try to give it value of maybe 1,000, 10 or 1,000. So or 100. So I'll save and I'll compile. Oops. I'll save and I'll compile. Then I'll give it, you can see it is still giving us true. So any value other than that is higher than 1 will be assigned to, let's say 999, whatever, 0, save. You can see it is still going to give us true, right? But the moment we specify 0 or false, it is going to give us false, right? So now let's try to see if we specify something lower than 0, what is it going to give us? So let's see that also. So you can see it is still specifying true, and that is because any value that is, if you give a value of false itself or you give a value of 0, the Boolean is going to return false. But any value that is not 0 or that is not false, that you do not specify false and you do not specify 0, it will be true. So we just experiment on that now. So you can see that is Boolean for you. So on the next lecture, we are going to talk about string. So I'll see you on the next lecture.